think most people have a wound, an experience from the past that they replay over and over in their mind. It lives with you and influences how you interact with people and situations in the present. My wound is David Sullivan, and the most humiliating day of my life. One morning we got into a fight outside our French class. It ended with me holding him down in a trusty headlock. It was pretty uneventful, but it quickly spread around my ear that Kevin McGlade had wasted David Sullivan. Although not entirely true, I did revel in the fleeting notoriety, but David Sullivan's reputation had taken a big dent and the rumour needed rectifying. Later that day I was wandering down the English corridor on my own when David Sullivan and two of his sidekicks came striding towards me. I could sense their intent. He went straight for me, so I just clenched my fists and started swinging. Initially I was doing okay, a few of my punches were landing. I think he was surprised by my fight. But then I heard one of his friends say, "Do what we told you." Suddenly he disengaged, grabbed my shoulders and threw his whole body into a vicious headbutt that landed square on the bridge of my nose. The pain shot straight into my eyes and head. I was stunned. I'd had plenty of scraps before and taken a few punches, but this was a violence I'd never experienced. The blood poured out of my nose. I slumped back against the wall, defeated. David Sullivan strode off, bragging rights and the world's balance restored. It took about 5 minutes for me to regain my senses. Then the rage rushed over me. I was embarrassed and mad. This guy had made me bleed. He'd wounded me. I had to find him. I had to make him pay. I set off in a kind of frenzied rage, stalking the corridors, hunting him down. Blood splattered across my crisp white school shirt and involuntary tears streaming down my face. People saw me and knew something was going down. They followed. I found them outside the staff room. The crowd gathered. I wanted to rip his head off. My heart was pounding. He just stood there looking at me smugly. He knew he had me in his pocket. I walked over and swung a punch at him, but the adrenaline had robbed me of my strength. My instinct was gone. It was a weak and powerless punch. He stood there laughing at me. I just walked away. I was humiliated. My dad picked me up in the car from school early that day. My nose was swollen and my shirt covered in dry blood. I tearfully recounted the day's events as we drove home and distinctly remember him saying, "If I see blood it makes me lose it, I'd just go for the kill." He didn't mean it critically, but all I could think was, why had I not reacted like my dad? Why had I not gone in for the kill? I felt like I'd let him down. That maybe I was not made of the same stuff, that I was not a warrior like him. Years later, on a visit home to see my parents, the story of the fight randomly came up. My mum said, "Remember that fight you had in year 9? It was like she ripped open an old wound. Over the years I'd revisited that day in the English corridor, replaying it over and over in my head with alternative and preferable outcomes, wishing I could go back and react in a different way or undo history. I felt this sudden wave of shame wash over me. I was 25 years old, yet I felt like a weak, embarrassed 14-year-old teenager who'd let his dad down. I sat in the living room of my childhood home and wept in front of my parents. Dad asked me why I was still holding on to it. I told him I felt like I'd been a disappointment, that I wish I'd reacted the way he would have. He looked me in the eye and told me none of that mattered. Win or lose, fight or flight, I was his son, and that was enough.